Top of the day, beautiful people. Well, I ain't even packed my book. Whew. When I say I rested, I rested. Darn, what's good, sis? Look, y'all. Whew. I sounded, this last week, my voice sounded terrible. Oh my gosh. When Friday came, I was like, I might have to extend this another week. But over the weekend, something miraculous happened for me. And I don't think, shucks, I think the weekend, I don't know what it was, but I wasn't really sick for real. It was just this whole thing going on with my voice, sounding like Darth Vader. It started with sinuses dripping, then it turned into something else. I don't know what, but I don't know. But I'm just glad I can talk. I can hear myself speak normally again, right? So, but whew, it was a good little rest, real good rest. I missed y'all. Mom, hey girl, hey. Then Ned, Shalom, Iman, thank you. Shebrew, hey girl, hey. All praise to the Creator. Hannah, Shalom, Shalom. Audrey, hey girl, hey. Just me, yes, amen. Right? Kendra, hey girl, hey. Jameer, hey girl, hey. All right, beautiful people. So I'm back. It is Monday, February the 6th, 2023. What day? I think we're going to have to repeat the day. No, it was day 325. We're going to go ahead with day 326. 326. But we're going to have to read the same stuff over. It was on page 23. Chapter 7. And, chapter 11. Anybody finish Field Guide to the Spirit World? Last chapter we're going to begin today, which is on page 243. Father, we thank you for life, health, and strength. I may have done that earlier on, but I really enjoy my health and being able to move like I need to. It's just... I don't know. I ain't never really ever had an issue with my voice for real. Like, never. Right? Because, your Christian mindset kicking in. Maybe Satan attacking my voice and stuff. And I'm like, Pam, quit with the crap. Right? So I was like, nope, something else I've been doing. But anyway, it was the first time I've ever really, experienced that. I mean, I had a cough, but the whole voice thing, not really for real. Sometimes when you get sick, your voice will go in and out, but... my voice was really, it was like I almost couldn't talk. Like I had to zip it. I'm quiet all the time, a lot anyway. You probably can never tell that from my videos and me talking like 2 and 3 hours. But I'm really a quiet, introverted person. I really am. I really like my peace. But it's almost like COVID, right? My husband was laughing about it yesterday. We was watching Outbreak. Yeah, I still watched a lot of movies while I was down because I couldn't really do anything else, right? Look, so I was like, don't nobody want to talk till they told they can't talk, right? Then you want to talk all the time. Like COVID, ain't nobody want to go outside, walk their dogs or nothing to go on a run till they tell you everybody stay in the house. And everybody, look, I'm going to walk the dog. We ain't got no dog. What you talking about? Everybody want to be outside, right? Because you want to do what you ain't supposed to do. I don't know why we do that. I really don't. But anyway... anybody get a chance to watch The Good Place? I think it was BC, Brandon Carter, that mentioned that but almost like 2 weeks ago now. I saw it in one of his comments. And so I was like, well, shucks, can't do nothing else. I might as well watch this. That was so good. And I'm almost certain that whoever created The Good Place is 5 seasons. 5 seasons. I got through it in the whole week. 5 seasons. Whoever made The Good Place, I am almost certain that they have read Oahspe at least one time. I promise you they have. I don't know for sure, but just by reading through it and looking through that and how they grade them, I'm like, who has done a movie or a series like this where people get graded in the afterlife based on what they did and how they can still gain points after they died? I'm like, they definitely, I'm convinced they've read Oahspe. If not, the person who created is really spiritual and really know a lot. They've learned a lot while they're here. You did? You watched it, just me? Yo, it was great. I'm mad it ended where it ended at, but there's 5 seasons of goodness to me. I ain't gonna, if y'all ain't seen it, I ain't gonna tell y'all nothing else because I don't want to give it away. But I was invested after the first couple episodes. I was like, wait a minute. If I hadn't read Oahspe, let me tell you, before I had tried to watch it a few years ago and I just couldn't get into it. But after I read Oahspe and they say like some trigger word, not really trigger words, but words that I recognized just by reading Oahspe, I was interested. I'm like, wait, hold on, what? What they just say? I was like, wait, no, really? Somebody really did this. Watch it. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. All right, but with that being said, beautiful people, let's go ahead and hop into the romance of the Red Star. And I've been debating back and forth, though. I don't know whether it's because of the words are so small here in the romance of the Red Star. I don't know. Some things have changed, but it's really not like that much for real, right? I don't know. Maybe I've just taken a special liking to Big Blue. I don't know. But let's get started. I've been debating whether if I want to just go back reading through it in Big Blue like it is or just finish it here. But I think we're going to finish. I like to finish what I start. But if you're reading from Big Blue, if you don't have this copy yet, and I forget, we're in Book of Sathantes, chapter 7. Verse to judge. So it is chapter 7. It is chapter 7 in Big Blue, but it starts on verse 3. Verse 3. Yeah. So this first part of it, these first couple verses, is not in here. But if you're following along, that's where we at in Big Blue. What you say? You got to watch it, Jamil. You should look at the series called Uploads. Uploads. I'm going to look it up. All right, y'all. Global purpose. Thank you, sis. Great spirit. Shalom, shalom. Thank you, thank you. I'm glad to be back, right? And then when I got to get up, because I got to sleep in, for the most part, my family actually left me alone. I guess they could really see it. They like really left me alone and let me sleep in. So most of the week I slept in till like 8, right? And the work that I had to do, I could push it off towards the end of the day. And shucks, for the first 2 days, I couldn't do anything. But they pretty much left me alone. I got to sleep in, and it was really good. Like, I really feel rested. But then the alarm clock go off this morning, look, and I got to get up. Now the whole mindset kick in. Why am I even doing this? Why? We just need to do something else. And I was like, you know what? Just get up and get in the shower. You'll be all right, you know. I always had them thoughts every now and again because I don't want to get up, turn the bed loose. All right, y'all. I done talked enough, but I figured I had to break us back in with my just rambling on about something. All right, y'all. All right. Plus, it's good to hear myself talk. Sometimes your parents ever say, you know, you just talking to hear yourself talk. Today I am. I'm just talking to hear myself talk. Having a voice is really a blessing. It really is. Because when you can't use it, you know, it's like, oh, man, I really kind of took that for granted, you know. And that's a Yahoo Shalom. Okay, y'all, let's get started. We're really going to try and stop on time today. Chapter 7, we're on page 23. First to Jud, God headed his ship, running close to the earth, gathering fuel from the tall forest to feed the phosphorescent flame, traveling steady till the wild coast on the west of Wagga was reached. Here he halted his ship till his navigators told the distance of the wide sea before them, gathering fuel and substance from the rich growing lands, and God commanded, go forth. Go forth into the sea of heavens, and on plunged the ship of God in the winds of the blue firmament, soaring high above the black clouds, and the music of his thousands Isinars leaped forth in time to the waves. Onward sped the ship of God, merrily sang the crew. On one side, the rising moon, the setting sun on the other. Beneath lie the black clouds, the great corporal sea, and yet above twinkled the stars and planets of the great serpent on his long journey. God surveyed the scene, and the power of Jehovah moved upon him. Then gathered round about him his 7,000 loves and traveling companions. And God said, excuse me. All thy places are new, great Jehovah. For thousands of years have I gazed on thy matchless splendors, but thy glory groweth richer day by day. When thy voice came to me more than 100 years ago, saying, Go, my son, I have a new garden planted. Take some workmen and till the soil. I foresaw the long labor of generations that will spring up out of the earth. I feared and trembled. I said, How shall it be, O Jehovah? Shall the new earth be peopled over, and mortals run their course as on other corporal worlds? First, in wholesome love and worship and due reverence to gods, and then for ages bury themselves in bloody wars? Oh, lead me forth, Jehovah. I will take thy garden for a season and fence it around with lords and wise kingdoms, and by the power of thy presence hedge mortals on every side, that the earth may bloom as a paradise for angels and men. And thy sons and daughters came with me and peopled the earth with immortal souls. How is it now? How compares my labor with that of the gods on other corporal worlds? O ye gods and goddesses, look down upon the earth. Jehovah hath filled my arms with a great load. I tremble in the immortal scales. God looked up, transfixed into the swift passing sky, for his voice reached to the thrones of the Ethereal worlds, whereon Orion chiefs reigned in all power, and down from amidst the stars shot a single ray of light engrossed with the words, Jehovah's Son, all hail. Hail, God of earth, Jehovah's Son. Glory, glory to great Jehovah for all that thou hast done. Then upward furled the shining light till it faded midst the far-off stars. Anew, the trumpeters and singers sent forth a strain of sweet, soulful music. And as the music glided forth across the waters, other music, strange and welcome, came from the west land to the borders of the sea. The ship was across the sea, and the host of the Lord of Jud had come to meet the God of earth and heaven. And now, saluting loud and long, the two ships drew close to anchorage. Presently, they exchanged messengers, and God and his host greeted the Lord and his host in Jehovah's name, and they were old-time friends. And presently, the two ships sped forth close to the earth, conjoined in music of anthems of olden times, and they sped on far up into the country, till one pillar of fire, standing on a mountainside, proclaimed the place of the Lord, and here they halted and made fast the vessels unseen by mortals. Chapter 8. These chieftains had long been friends on other worlds and pledged to join in an adventure on some new corporal world to raise up sons and daughters to Jehovah. Now was the pledge being fulfilled, and they had eagerly looked forward to the time of this visit. And so God and the Lord came forth, saying, In Jehovah's name we meet at last. And they embraced and reassured each other that what they had talked of 1,000 years before had really come to pass. And then came forward the hosts of God and the Lord's, knowing one another and saluting and embracing also. Thereupon they proceeded to the house of the Lord, which mortals had been inspired to build of wood and clay. And when they were within, they joined in prayer and thanks to Jehovah, and sang and danced and rejoiced to their souls' content. At sunrise the next morning, the mortal priests and priestesses, led by a prophet, went into the house of the Lord to pray and sing and dance as they had been taught by inspiration of the Lord. But many people lingered without, saying to one another, I fear, for last night I saw lights in the house of the Lord, and I heard singing and dancing before the altar. After a time of rejoicing and of quiet, the Lord said, Behold, O God, the follies of judgment and the vain calculations of even lords and gods. We look upon the mature man, saying, Alas, he is stubborn in his own way. We cannot convert him. Then we desire the immature, saying, Him will I raise in mine own way, and he shall not depart from my judgment. But we tire of his immaturity and slow growth. God said, Hereon hangs the highest testimony of the person of great Jehovah, the nearest blank of all the living created. The nearest blank of all the living created, he man, unlike the rest and devoid of reason, whereas, according to the order of the animal world, a newborn babe should be already wise. Jehovah said, all the living have I provided with certain paths to travel in, and man created I knew that he should grow forever. I like that. Just in case you haven't read it before and it's your first time, right? He has created us to grow forever. Oh, there it is. I ain't got my highlighter. I do, but I just didn't bring it over. Let me get it. Prince, shalom, brother. How you been? I caught some of the lives while I was out. I think the only live that I caught from the beginning to the end was the interview with Satan. Yo, that live had me tripping, y'all. It was good. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. Like, I was with dude. I was with him. I was really with him. The way he explained his name, why he called himself Ha-Satan, right? Giving our people something like, you need to look at it from this perspective, right? Be the adversary. Like, I understood that. Even when I saw his name, I'm like, oh, well, I probably understand what he's talking about, right? Because I went through that whole satanic thing. I'm like, well, if we understand what Satan really is, right? It's, and it sounds like blasphemy to Christian ears. I would say it's not so bad. Satan actually would keep you on your feet, right? Because it breaks you out of la-la land, right? The adversary, right? You need something, just like Proverbs says, about a court case, right? Everything seems right and just. I'm summing it up. Everything seems right and just when you hear the first person's testimony until it's cross-examined by another, right? And so that's pretty much what the adversaries are created to do. Not just Satan, but everything in our life. You run into issues at work, somebody gonna cross-examine your character there, right? In more than one way to see if you really are what you proclaim to be. And if you are already not proclaiming to be something, we want to see if we can bring you up a little bit higher. Put some sandpaper over there for them, right? You can find sandpaper everywhere in your life, in your house. And your spouse is going to be your sandpaper. You're going to have that one child that's going to cause major growth in your life. That's your sandpaper. When you go to work, you're going to have that one, maybe two people, maybe a clique of people that's going to rub you the wrong way. I don't even know why I got this job. You know what? Well, I'll quit first before they have me go to jail. It's all about you. Ain't got nothing to do with them. Ain't got nothing to do with them, right? Just me. Listen, that's about what I was about to say. Auntie, hey girl, hey, look. I was with Satan, Ha-Satan, until he started talking about eating the placenta. Now, he ain't the first person that I'd heard talk about this, right? I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. You can call us animals, ennui. I went through all this reason, but I ain't eating no flesh. And even though it's not a part that stays attached to the baby nor to the mother, right? I just don't even know the words to find to use it to tell you that I'm not eating it. Look, I ain't eating no placenta. I ain't eating my placenta. I ain't eating nobody else's placenta, right? Because first of all, yes, some people call it cannibalism. I'm gonna say the same thing. It's cannibalism. It's right down disgusting, right? Some people they didn't get a little fancy with it. They take it and they put it in they dried out a hydrogenator. I think that's what you call it. I got one, I ain't never used it. They put it in a hydrogenator, like you dry out potatoes to make potato chips. Like they put it in there to dry it out like they dry out herbs, and they crush it up, right? And they put it in capsules, and you can take it that way. Some people just eat it bloody, right from the womb. Like you don't even rinse it off. The blood and everything in your mouth. Oh my, it made me want to throw up right now. Listen, I was with Satan until he started talking about eating flesh. I'm just like, yep. See, then somebody asked the question, so are you plant-based? You eat meat, right? And I guess at a certain point he was plant-based Then he decided he needed flesh back in his body. I'm just like, Satan, I was with you up until this point, but I don't know. I'm gonna just sit back. And then, everybody has their path that they have to walk, right? I know people. I backslid when I first stopped eating meat, right? About 12 years ago. I was good for the first 2. Then I got pregnant with my 4th child, Josiah. And then I had this hankering for some fried fish and fried chicken. Ate it, not even the whole duration of that pregnancy. Then I started getting sick again. I was like, yep, no more. And from that point, it's been 10 years. I've never let another piece of flesh touch my lips. I ain't super skinny, right? I ain't malnourished in any kind of way, because you can still be fat in other ways. You can still be fat in other ways by not eating flesh, right? And I have figured out all them ways, right? Wondering why am I still walking around here looking like I eat meat? Look, I got this whole junk food thing going on, right? Look, and the process, what's crazy is, and here's something I just realized, it's the process of plant-based food that will cause you to stay fat. And it will actually, I ain't gonna say it's gonna do your body as bad, but it's gonna cause some of the same things to happen. Cause I watch a couple people, like this one girl I used to watch. She do these seafood boils all the time, but she was nice, and all she was eating was like seafood, and it's like seafood, eggs, cucumbers, and corn. That's literally was about everything she ate, right? She didn't eat any starches, right? But she had started having some other issues, and she decided she was going to go vegan instead of plant-based. But when she switched her diet from the meat, it looked like she was looking better when she was eating the meat to when she went to start eating vegan and vegetarian, because she wasn't really, I'll say she's still not that well educated on eating a plant-based whole foods diet. She started eating a lot of processed stuff, and then her skin starting to look bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And she talking about the stuff she eat, even doing videos. I'm like, oh no, you like eating the wrong stuff. Like, I'm just now figuring that out. She went from eating meat to eating the wrong type of vegan, vegan junk foods, and it's making her look worse than what she did when she was eating meat. So when Satan was talking about this, I'm like, it was because he hadn't really educated himself on the proper foods to eat. He was still eating the wrong stuff. He went from eating flesh to eating the wrong type of stuff, and it still breaks the body down. Maybe a little bit slower, depending on how good or how bad you done took care of your body. It'll happen faster or it'll happen slower. But it's still a lack of education of how these bodies really work. But some people's like, yeah, I can't do vegan. Nope, it's because you was ignorant. You really didn't take time to study, and you just decided to go back to what was easy for you, what you knew, right? Still breaking your body down in the same way. But it's interesting. But yeah, I was with Satan until he started talking about eating flesh, right? And now every now and again he'll eat some meat. I'm just like, and I just kind of listened to the rest of the thing from there, because there was some stuff I absolutely agree with him on, right? Because coming out of Christianity and some of the things he was saying, and look, the Holy Bible of Canaan, I went and ordered it. When I looked up there, when he first mentioned it, when they showed it, when he was talking to Selah held it up. I said, let me try and find this. And when I saw it was one left, I immediately ordered it, right? I immediately ordered it from Amazon. It was the only one they had left. So I ordered it, and I actually got it the other day, and I was going through some of the stuff. I said, I actually agree with this. I actually agree. Now, being in Christianity, I would not have, but looking at it and actually having books from the other side, like the Nebuchadnezzar tablets, the book with Cain. I actually have, I forget the name of it. It's in there on my bookcase, but it's like a 2-part series. The guy's name, his last name is like Damon. It looks like Demon, but he wrote it, and he talks about, I mentioned this before, he talks about his relationship with the Vatican and some of the stuff he was privy to and different things he got, and he just kind of got like authorization, and he reproduced some of the stuff, and it's put out there, right? So like the Bible that they had from that side, like Israel had like their own type of scroll and scriptures, but so did the land of Canaan. So some of that stuff he was talking about, I was like, oh yeah, I didn't read about that. Yep, that's true. That's true. You can even see some of that stuff if you have the books of remembrance, right? The book of remembrance of Enoch, it's a few of them. The book of remembrance is a portion of it in the beginning of it. In the book of remembrance of our grandmothers, it gives you some of the different history about Cain during his time and what happened. So it's answered some of those questions that people be fighting about in the scriptures, because you got a half-cocked story in the Bible, but it fills in a lot of those different places. And his Bible, his the Holy Bible of Canaan actually references a lot of that stuff. I was like, oh, okay. So it wasn't as bad when I got it in, still with my shenanigans and stuff. I'm like, all right, Father, if something here is truly demon possessed, it's kind of quarantine it, I need to check it, right? And plus I was still kind of sick too. So I was like, so I didn't open it till I started feeling better, because, you know, when you down a little bit, your aura and stuff is kind of open and things are kind of attached to you. So I'm really careful about that now, right? So it wasn't until, like I said, like this weekend where something just like really happened, and I was like, oh shoot, okay. I don't know what then happened. It seemed like my body just like clicked over, you know. So, but I was spending that time. I was juicing. The little bit of herbs that I had, I was taking. Thank you all for those y'all that sent me little messages on different things to try. A couple of them I did. The turmeric actually helped. I don't know, that it sent like a burning sensation all down to the deepest parts of my shanana. And I think it was when I got the turmeric on the inside of me. I think that's what really, really helped. So thank you. One of the ladies that watched me from Facebook, she's saying she lives over in Barbados. She told me about that. So that and the turmeric and the ginger, I think that's what really probably did it. I don't know, but thank you for that. But yeah, so I got it, and I don't disagree with a lot of the stuff in there. Like, and most of us here, that's on the path of truth, a lot of the stuff we actually agree with. Some of the stuff we can even see in Oahspe bits and pieces, but it's just when it gets to that whole part, when it start talking about eating the placenta. But also, there was something that I read in the Holy Megillah, right? But that's why I'm like, yeah, no, I'm still gonna say that eating any kind of flesh is not of the Creator. Like, we is not even supposed to be in any parts, right? How it was designed to nourish the body, the baby's body while I was in the womb, was, I'm going to say that's how it was supposed to be. And then discarded, buried in the ground, whatever you do with it afterwards, but we're not supposed to put it inside of our bodies. But the Holy Megillah, in the beginning of it, it talks about actually eating flesh and what it does to the body. It makes you dance. It has the same effects of that regular meat does, but just kind of like on a different level. It makes the body more dense. So when Satan, he called himself Ha-Satan, right? But when Ha-Satan, it's the same thing, right? When him and his wife started consuming the placenta, he noticed how his body began to get stronger and stuff. I'm like, he probably not lying about that. Based on what I've researched and what it does, I'm like, yeah, he probably not lying, but he's still not seeing the truth about what's really happening to him, right? But they just looking at that part and just going on with it like it's a good thing. And I'm like, bruh, he called us siblings. Maybe he'll listen to some of us that's then kind of studied it a little bit more. You know, he may not think that we studied enough or been around the world like he has. I done been around the world a little bit, traveling, while in the military. And actually, when I was in the military, I actually got out to places and went to the different religious sites and talked to different people and just really got into it, because that was the highlight of my military career, when we would hit ports and I can get in there and immerse myself in a religious culture and see what's actually happening. But that part, if you watching, bruh, I would say just look into it just a little bit more. I mean, I know you and your wife, like, y'all deep in the thick of it now. Y'all have eaten many placentas by this time, but I don't know. Just look into it a little bit more, because, whew, I'm just saying. Mahal, look, some, you wonder why some women bury the placenta? Well, I don't know. Well, I do know a little bit. It depends, right? If you have like a midwife, it depends on the woman and her spiritual knowledge and what she's and what she knows about it. She could just be taking it and burying it in the ground, just like you would put a body in the ground, right? Out of respect. But there are also rituals that women do. You just really got to look into the life of the woman and figure out which one she is and why she's burying it, right? It's interesting. I looked into it a little bit. But like I said, I was with him up until that point, and then he also still believes in reincarnation. But like I said, that's okay, because everybody's on their own path, and hopefully he'll continue growing where he looks into the reincarnation piece a little bit more, because he believes in it. And he strongly believes in it because of like all the stuff we literally just went through, breaking down even the children that people think, oh, they reincarnated. No, they're not. They're being overshadowed by disembodied spirit, right? Just look into it a little bit more. But yeah, hopefully he'll look into it and just really give some thought to it and just consider some things. But yeah, so like I said, I was with him up until that point. I ain't putting no flesh in my mouth. Sorry. I stopped doing that years ago. And then it was never human flesh either, because the placenta it's created from the human body. I'm just not. It seems that most mammal herbivores do eat their placenta. They do, but we don't. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I just feel it deep down in my sha-na-na that we're not supposed to. I don't know everything, and neither do I claim to. But I really feel like we're not supposed to consume that part, right? I don't know. That's the gist of it and why I feel that way right now. Tabitha, hey girl, hey. Linda, shalom, sis. Patah, shalom, shalom. All right, y'all. Let me finish reading this little chapter, because I'm supposed to be switching. So we're gonna finish this chapter right here, chapter 8. It's on page 24 in the Romance of the Red Star. Red Star is the earth. Jehovah said, all the living have I provided with certain paths to travel in, and man created I knew that he should grow forever. To the beast I have given an already created sense. To man I allotted angels, and even these have I provided with others above them, and yet others above them forever and ever. Hence the newborn babe I created a blank in sense and judgment, that he may be a witness that even he himself was fashioned and created anew by my hand. Remember, right? All the animals was created first. He made us last as a blank slate, right? We can look and we can observe, right? We keep the good things, apply it to our life. Everything else that don't really jive with our human spiritual nature, we put aside. That's what makes us different. He made us to be able to look, observe, and choose. Not to choose to eat the flesh like the animals. I truly believe that, y'all. Read this again. Jehovah said, all the living have I provided with certain paths to travel in, and man created I knew that he should grow forever. To the beast I have given an already created sense. To man I allotted angels, and even these have I provided others above them, and yet others above them forever and ever. Hence the newborn babe I created a blank in sense and judgment, that he may be a witness that even he himself was fashioned and created anew by my hand. Neither created I him imperfectly, that he should re-enter a womb and be born over again. Right there, it knocks out the reincarnation. We don't have to keep doing it over and over and over again. You're just going to keep growing. Imagine how it would look when once you get out of high school, you had to start all over at kindergarten again. Like, we're going to be like, oh, we got a new teacher. No, B, that's a student. Like, what? And everybody going to start making fun of you. Everybody's laughing at me. And they should be. Get out of here. You in the wrong place. It's the same thing spiritually. Like, the Creator gives us examples right in front of our face, 24/7. And for some reason, we don't seem to be picking up on it. Hence, the newborn babe I created a blank in sense and judgment, that he may be a witness that even he himself was fashioned and created anew by my hand. Neither created I him imperfectly, that he should re-enter a womb and be born over again. That which I do is well done, saith Jehovah. The Lord said, Thou art wise, O God. Man standeth on the earth, but the earth resteth on that which is lighter than the earth. Jehovah said, The unseen that holdeth the corporal earth in its place is of me. And yet, O God, who can attain to know Jehovah? The mortal said, When I am dead and risen in heaven, I shall see the great Spirit. But when he dies, he is still helpless. Yes, as helpless in his place as he was on the earth. Then he said, When I am strong and wise, like lords and gods, and can traverse the wide firmament, then will I see Jehovah. But when he riseth and can shape his vessel through the whirlwinds of the vortices of heaven, and he is called Lord or God, he findeth the arks and ether standing before him still. More and more is he appalled at the thought of the great I Am, who liveth still beyond. He hurries down to the corporal earth to teach mortals and spirits of Jehovah, and of his endless worlds and exalted heavens. But lo, the darkness of them, they say, I see him not, I hear him not, I believe not in him. He is but as the wind, going without sense. He is void, he is nothing. And the Lord inventeth ways and means. Yea, he teaches man to sing and pray to Jehovah, that the sounds may lead his soul upward. The Lord telleth him to wear clothes to hide his nakedness, and the Lord sendeth angels toward him for his good deeds. And the angels of the Lord lay plots and stratagems in man's pathway to stir him up. Yea, Jehovah gave man sleep, so that his corporal bound spirit might see and hear heavenly things. But man loadeth his stomach and debaucheth on intoxicating smoke and drink, till his soul is buried in darkness. Right? We definitely know that what we eat and what we consume and what we take into our body will affect us spiritually. Right? You go to bed on a full stomach, like they teach you that is the worst thing you can do. Going to bed on a full stomach is the worst thing that you can do, physically and spiritually. That I have learned. All right? Hold on. Let me go back. The Lord telleth him to wear clothes to hide his nakedness, and the Lord sendeth angels toward him for his good deeds. And the angels of the Lord lay plots and stratagems in man's pathway to stir him up. Yea, Jehovah gave man sleep, so that his corporal bound spirit might see and hear heavenly things, right? That's when it takes place, until you grow enough to where it can happen during your waking hours during the day, and you get clear visions, and you can hear clearly from the Father, right? Elijah, peace and blessings. But man loadeth his stomach and debaucheth on intoxicating smoke and drink, till his soul is buried in darkness. And the Lord crieth out in despair, How weak am I, O Jehovah, before thee? I undertook to be a Lord over men over men on earth to learn my lesson in the government of worlds. But, O Jehovah, I know I fail in thy sight. What will thy God say when he beholdeth my little good? What pity have the archangels for struggling for the struggle? Hold on. What will thy God say when he beholdeth my little good? What pity have the archangels for thy struggling Lord of earth? God perceiveth the sorrow of his friend, and he said, O Jehovah, who art almighty, how keener hast thou made our sense of our own weaknesses than those who look upon us. Thy Lord is a God in the glories. Thy Lord is a God in the glories he hath wrought out of such crude substance, and I sing to his praise and love. I have looked upon the naked man and woman of this great land, crawling on hands and feet with no thought but to eat. And I have seen them raised up by thy Lord and his ashars to walk upright and to use words of speech and to wear clothes and skins to hide their nakedness. Yea, I have cried out with great joy, and I called aloud unto thee, O Jehovah, saying, who knoweth the labor of the Lord? Will man ever forget to sing his praise? But Jehovah says, I will keep some of the tribes of men in darkness till the last days. For man shall perceive that the barbarous tribes cannot put away their own darkness. Yea, man shall bow down in reverence to my lords. Thus conversed God and his lords as they went forth to see the work of the Lord, and to find the mortals that have given up the places of Oahspe and come to live in villages and cities around about over the continent of Jud. They traveled for many days and nights. And when God had seen all the work of the Lord, he said, behold, it is good. Thy toil and seclusion away from the lords of the upper heavens are severe, but thou art fashioning the love of millions who shall bless thee. And while God sojourned with the Lord of Jud, his hosts regaled themselves with the company of the Asaphs in the kingdoms of the Lord, and great was the love and rejoicing amongst them. And that is where we'll pause at the end of chapter 8. We'll pick it back up tomorrow with chapter 9, y'all. Let's jump on over here in the book we ain't been in a minute, because we had to finish up the reincarnation portion, right? Field Guide to the Spirit World. Chapter 11, Freeing the Ghost, page 243. Hey, son. Freeborn. Is that Freeborn? Yeah, Freeborn. Shalom, shalom. First time live back in a minute. All right, y'all. Freeing the Ghost. Quote, exorcism stands in relation to ordinary psychotherapy as radical surgery does to lancing a boil. End quote. M. Scott Peck, People of the Lie. Sometimes there is a common chord in beginnings and endings. I am thinking of spirit entry and spirit release, which may indeed share a common stimulus, a jolt, a shock, a body blow. There must be a reason. Aldous Huxley said, quote, in many cases, old-fashioned whipping was probably just as effective as modern shock treatment, end quote. Not a punitive whipping, but a good thrashing just the same. And after punitive whipping, there's an asterisk, and down at the bottom it says, T.K. Osterich, 1935, page 212. In one case, records an incident from 1891 in Palestine where a sheik whipped the possessing spirit out of a woman, end quote. So you have to remember that spirits, they'll take up a body, they'll invade, overshadow, possess a body that they think that they can control, right? That's in pretty much some kind of good health, because they want to be able to move around and do some of the things that they can't do when they're completely disembodied, right? And I wouldn't say that they can't do, I say they lack education when they die. And they don't yet know how to manifest the body for themselves. So they take on to possessing people which is the real definition of reincarnation. It's a re-entry into a living body of people who are already alive, or babies that's fresh out the womb. They need a already alive host to possess. But they don't like pain. So if that body is experiencing pain, that's where the whole thing came from. You see some exorcisms with Catholics when if you ever watch movies, that sometimes they show people beating the people that's possessed over the head with the Bible or taking a crucifix. It falls in that same line of stuff. Because the spirit that's there, it doesn't like the pain, so it's going to flee, which is why spirits can enter through shock or tragic accidents, all this type of stuff, through different types of jokes. They can enter and they can get up out of here. They can be released through that. I'm not saying you should be going beating demon possessed people, because if it don't work, you can catch a case. We can see some of that in that series Evil. Yes.
No question is there a way for, let's say you had a relationship with somebody and that person passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way, or is it possible for that person to try to cling on to the other?
Absolutely. Have you been present?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, his question was, it depends. It depends on the person who's still alive. My son just asked.
I'm asking, is there a way of them doing that? Because
the person who's died?
Yeah, the person who's died, is there a way for them to cling on to the person
Okay,
who's living?
I found this on the web for Is There Light? Is there a way of them doing that because the person who's that? Check it out.
Seriously, ain't nobody talking to you, sis.
So, them be able to do that because on that other side, they might be real familiar and scared of everything.
That's exactly what happens. Yeah, he asked, if a person has been intimate with somebody and one of the people died, could the person that dies come back and cling on to the person they was intimate with because they don't know about the other one? I said, absolutely, it happens all the time. Like, that's literally what we've been talking about, right? Yeah. It's called overshadowing. Yeah, depending on how much they overshadow them, they could possess them.
Yeah,
you know?
I just realized sometimes most of them don't. I don't know, but a lot of them seem like they're in that sad state and they're like clinging on to whoever is actually they're most familiar with. And
Yeah.
They like literally don't want to lose. They feel like there is no world away from them.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, because the spirit, there was something in here that she said, it's like the spirit that, it was towards the front. The spirit that clings on to people, like, especially if they die like in chaos, it's boom, here it go. Listen, Oahspe talks about it too. As a drowning man clingeth to a log, so cling the Druhas, Hades spirits, to mortals. And that's in the book of Leka, chapter 22, verse 21. So spirits who die, you a spirit, when you die, if you don't know anything more of the spiritual realm than what you've already learned here, and if that wasn't much, if you really haven't learned about what happens when we leave here and how we continue to grow, you're gonna bind yourself here. And the person if it's not somebody you know in your family or friend, somebody that you are already familiar with, you're gonna cling on to the first person whose spirit is open that you can latch onto, and they're gonna cling on to them for dear life. Right? They're just as scared and unaware of what's happened to them than are the people who get clung on to, right?
That's sad. They're literally doing it out of fear.
They really are doing a very good observation, Jeremiah. They are. They're doing it out of fear because they don't know. Most of them are. Some of them that's been hanging around for a while, that's been gotten wind of it, they just, like on falling, they hop from body to body. But those recently born into the spirit world, which we call the recently dead here, they do. They do it out of fear, right? So, which is why those around them should be spiritual enough to understand what's done happened and to help them both get free, not to cast Satan out and condemn him back to the depths of hell. No, that's a disembodied brother and sister who died probably in chaos. And as we're setting our family member or friend who still has their body, as we're setting them free, we should also be releasing the spirit on so they can continue to grow and heal and develop spiritually, right? Because we're going to be there one day, right?
Right.
And hopefully not ignorantly. Hopefully we're going to go like, all right, my G, it's time to roll out. Time to go to the next level, right?
Is there a way
I'm
to,
out, my G. I ain't clinging on to nobody.
Is there a way to
Engraftment, yep. They engraft themselves. It's called engraftment. Huh?
Is there a way to get out of that Juha state when you are in hell?
Yes. Yeah. Christianity don't teach you that, though. They tell you you're going to be in hell and burn forever. That's not true. It's not true.
Man, that's I'm going to be up by Satan. I'm going to be partying. Yeah, I'm burning all day.
Listen, no. But yeah, even Oahspe talks about that too. Nobody burns forever. I mean, the fire is what just kind of isolates you from others and keep you in place. You absolutely can. Yeah, that's like the lowest level. That's like going to detention or remediation because you done tricked off your time doing class.
Well,
yeah.
Me myself, I've been worried. I said, if anybody passes away, I really hope they do not cling on to me because I had a warmth about me just because I'm reading and not judging. Yeah,
no, if you have a warmth about you, well, you can't be ignorant. I don't think anybody would cling on to you. First of all, if you're aware of it, that's the first defense. Mm-hmm. Knowledge is your first defense against the shenanigans, even the shenanigans of the spiritual realm, right? Because most of them here earthbound, they're really, a lot of them are no smarter than what we can attain to be. Actually, we can attain to be a whole lot smarter here while we still have our body than those who are stuck in the first level, which is why as we grow and develop, we can also help them grow and develop. So even if they're hanging around you and not necessarily clinging on to you, that can happen too. They can be in your atmosphere and they can just like follow you around because they know nowhere else to go. They will follow you around. They won't possess you. They won't oppress you, but they're lingering around. And they probably won't be able to cling on to you because your spirit is so strong that they can't. But they'll linger around, but it also puts you in a position of authority to when you raise yourself up and you no hangers on with the Creator gang here. I'm telling you, right? And those they be ain't nobody hopping on to me. They may be hanging around. Like I know there's some spirits lingering around. But they ain't getting on the inside of me. They ain't driving my body. I'm sorry. The Cosmine Bible is for the Bible is for the resurrection of man in the earth, first and second resurrection. I agree with that. But yeah, y'all, let me finish reading this little paragraph. We ain't gonna finish the chapter, but I have to stop reading. That was my alarm. That was my 5-minute warning. I had to set that in because sometimes I be going over way too long and I be trying to catch up on the day, and I don't want to keep doing that. Okay, let me see. In many cases, old-fashioned whipping was probably just as effective as modern shock treatment. Not a punitive whipping, but a good thrashing just the same. Even today, some Pentecostal and holiness churches attempt to drive out the devil by hitting the sufferer on the head with the Bible. Chances are, this is not too different from schizophrenic head banging, the tormented soul's tactic only meant to break the spell. It is a method that Annalise Michael used to, quote, shock the systems back into their proper functioning, end quote. When she, quote, felt it, the takeover coming, suddenly I had to knock my head against the wall, end quote. Goodman, 1981, page 151. I'm going to read this next little, hold on. This next little paragraph here, and then we're going to stop. Dr. Carl Wickland's case of a New York, quote, boy thug, end quote, illustrates not only the traumatic onset of a criminal career, but amazingly also its traumatic termination. Frank James, after a fall from a motorcycle at 10 years of age, changed from a cheerful lad into a surly, insolent boy, developing into a confirmed criminal. Eventually, he was declared insane and sent to an asylum. He escaped, and while pursuers attempted his capture, they hit him on the head with a club. Frank then fell unconscious and was taken to a hospital. When he awoke, he was extraordinarily changed, gentle and differential, showing no further indications of an unbalanced mind. From that time on, he exhibited not the slightest impulse to commit crime of any kind. And that is where we're going to have to pause at today. Beautiful people.
When I die, what do I do? Being so serious. Because so I know as soon as I die, I'll be like, Mom said that.
Okay, so here's what I say. You can go back and watch all my videos from the time I started reading Oahspe, or you can take about 10 minutes a day and read through Oahspe. This will cover like a lot of ground because I can sit and talk and explain, but we have all the resources right here in this house that you don't read. You just choose to get by osmosis. Sometimes it works, and sometimes you need to exercise some discipline and actually sit and read something. Son, until you get to the point where you can just download the whole book into you, and if you figure out how to do that before I do, help a sister out. All right, beautiful people. Listen, today it is Monday, February the 6th, 2023, day 326 of year 4 of reading through the books. You know what? I'm going to stop saying the books of the law and the prophets. I'm going to break that up a little bit. Reading through books, laws, and prophets. That's how I'm going to term it now. I was thinking about how I was going to change it. So now we call the Holy Bible the books of the law and the prophets, right? The books of the prophets. But since we're kind of out of that, we've moved past that. We're still reading through different books and laws. So I'm going to call it reading through books, laws, and prophets. That's how I'm going to do it.
You're just taking the and out.
It give it a different meaning of what we're actually, how we've transitioned. So this is more accurate of what we're doing now. Year 4 of reading through books, laws, and prophets. Hold on, I didn't put the consecutive day count. What day is this? I don't think I said it. 1, 3, 4, 5. It is day 1345. Today we read chapter 7 and 8 in the Romance of the Red Star, which is another name for Oahspe. And then we started reading the last chapter in the Field Guide to the Spirit World, chapter 11, entitled Freeing the Ghost. So we'll be done with this in a few days. And with that being said, that's going to be it today. And Father, we thank you for a time to recover and understand. You know what? When we get sick, first of all, it's a time, like, we shouldn't constantly be getting sick all the time. Like, I rarely ever get sick, but when I do, I do. It's because I realized what's happening. Like, last time I got sick was a few years ago when I caught COVID, right? And I was down for 2 weeks. Thought I was going to die, right? And then this happens. I didn't get sick, but I got sick in a way to where, like, I lost my voice and I was doing all this coughing and stuff. And I'm trying to figure out how that came on. I'm sure it's still, because my diet is still not like 100. I'm still eating some vegan junk foods and stuff like that. But each time that happens, because this whole place we live in at, it's a school, and our bodies are also like our spirits. It's our spirit's specimen, or our spirit's, it's the what do I want to call it? It's our spirit's vehicle that we supposed to learn how to operate and move. And a lot of us are just operating by default on it, right? Just, we have no clue about what's going on with our body. But every time our body, something happens in our physical body, there's a cause of it. And a lot of times it's not the devil, right? It's because of something that we're ignorant of and we violated some type of law, right? So each time we should be getting smarter, right? Learning what's happened, learning how to avoid it so it doesn't happen again, right? And sometimes we just need to exercise a little bit of discipline, learn how to say no to certain foods. And once you begin to make good choices on purpose, it's easier to make the next good choice, right? So food addictions, different type of addictions. Sometimes you may need some help breaking some of those things, but it all starts with a decision, right? So each day we should be getting better, constantly growing, moving upward, not just physically, but also spiritually, right? So, and we shouldn't always be getting sick, right? I'm talking to myself. So I got to be doing a whole lot better. So, because I don't want to take any other sick leaves, right? Because clearly it's foolishness that I be doing, right? So I understand that. So hopefully you guys notice that you don't be doing the same foolish stuff I be doing, right? Make good choices. We only get one body. We do not get to come back. You trick this body off. You SOL, like literally. And you might be floating around down here in the first heaven for a while, right? Till you get around somebody that I ain't gonna say cling on to, or you hang around some mortals who are growing and can show you how to grow, and you kind of just rise with them, right? So be good to yourselves. Grow on purpose, right? And if people don't like it, just adjust your settings, right? Adjust the people you hang around. Get around people who are on the same page of growing better, upward, onward, and not staying stuck. With that being said, beautiful people, I love y'all. I'll see y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's an hour. Peace.